I think one of the things that we are seeing is the transition to electric mobility is creating an incredible opportunity now for countries to say, okay, what is the leadership role we want to play in this evolving electric mobility ecosystem? Now, that's a very big difference from the incumbent combustion engine ecosystem, where when you were looking at the used vehicle imports, the one part of the reason was, well, let's try to find ways for commercial vehicle operators or even private individuals to own more affordable vehicles, right? So that was the motivation behind those types of policies. Now what we're finding is, well, the policy motivation is starting to change, it's starting to shift. And one of the struggles we have here, I'll just give a direct example, in trying to electrify public transit. We are very focused on 25 to 50 seat minibuses here in Nairobi or the other capital cities, these slightly larger. But what do we know is the dominant matatu in sub-Saharan Africa? It's the 14-seat van, the 7 to 14-seat van imported 8 years used from Japan. It is almost impossible for a brand new electric vehicle to compete against that. Yeah, and so to a degree, yes, if sustainability and shifting the transport ecosystem to something that's more manageable and addresses congestion is a priority for governments, then used vehicle import rules have to be looked at. Because you cannot exist in the current ecosystem and expect electric to come in and compete in exactly the same way. Make a product that people want to adopt. And that's exactly what we've seen here. We've had two electric buses, the first ever electric buses operating on the ground, carrying passengers every single day for the last 3 months here in Nairobi. And the way that it has shifted the mindset of citizens of Nairobi in terms of what they can expect from public transport. They are so used to these loud, dirty, smelly, unsafe buses. And in many ways, this expectation is now built into the culture. We don't deserve any better. Then they get onto our bus. I think one of the most remarkable comments I've heard whenever they've boarded one of our electric buses, which is still run by the standard bus operators, that has not changed. But when they board the bus, they go, oh, the fare is the same, but this feels like a premium luxury experience. How is it possible that the fare is the same? And so what we have basically a culture that's been trapped in this mindset by the diesel paradigm. And now what we're able to do is simply bring in a better product. Passengers love it so much that they are actively seeking out, how can I board the electric bus ahead of the diesel? What can I do to get onto that bus? They will disembark a diesel sometimes to get onto the electric. What does that do? That now creates a motivation from bus operators and bus owners to say, I can earn more revenue from this electric bus than I could from a diesel bus, even if it's the same size. My business opportunity around electric is better than diesel. With zero incentives, with zero tax subsidies, with none of the contentious issues, you have created a better product and a better experience that's going to drive the adoption of this technology, drive the adoption of sustainability. So my answer is always start with building a better product. And what you will find is that doors begin to open.
Today, the world is moving to electric mobility. If you look at Norway, if you look at this, Scandinavian countries, in the US, and also in Africa, some of the countries. So how do we move towards electric mobility? We see the motorcycles as a big, easier way to get into the market. If you look at today in China, they're actually not using the petrol diesel motorcycles, 2 3-wheelers that we're using in Africa. They've moved towards electric. They are almost, today we have close to 500,000, can you imagine, electric 2 and 3-wheelers in the world. Most of them, of course, in China. But India, China, they are moving towards electric 2 3-wheelers. So I think this is a technology that can be used. The good thing is that a lot of the African countries are looking at how do they assemble or manufacture. Because this is a potential for Africa to get into the manufacturing or assembly of the, through electric mobility, and of course, creating green jobs.
In reality, what we need to be doing is we need to be looking at transit electrification everywhere. And we need to be looking at it urgently. This is one of the key steps to battling climate change. The key is also then to build a scalable model, right? One where you're not just talking about a handful of buses, but actually one which really starts to command significant market share. That's how we really begin to address the crisis. For that, and that's why a big part of our focus here at BasiGo is actually on the financing. Like when you typically hear about electric vehicles, what is the biggest concern? You always hear they're expensive upfront. Okay, and yet what you find is that yes, they're expensive upfront, but they're very affordable to operate, much more affordable than diesel, especially with what's happened in the world of diesel and petroleum and the price of oil in the last 2 months. Electric is looking incredibly attractive from an operational perspective. So the key is, how can we capitalize on that? How can we bring down that upfront cost and capitalize on the fact that the operating cost is much lower? And so that's what BasiGo is doing. We have a unique model called pay-as-you-drive financing. Pay-as-you-drive basically allows us to offer an electric bus for the same upfront cost as a diesel bus, the exact same upfront cost. We then finance the battery on the inside of that bus through this daily per kilometer subscription, which is still less than what these bus operators are paying every single day for diesel and maintenance right now. And in that way, we basically are able to make an electric bus affordable. Now, we are able to do that in Kenya. When we look at these other markets, absolutely that opportunity exists, but you have to make sure that the financing model, the product, fits the local requirements. Every market in Africa is a little bit different, okay? We can't treat all countries in Africa and all bus markets as the same. So that's really important.